I'm a singer, I'm a drummer. Either of those two would do.
Welcome to the A to Z of Phil Collins.
I'll take it a check, but I prefer the cash.
The idea behind this podcast is to take a journey through the life and music of Phil Collins.
When I said yes to do the job, it was just to write the songs. But as I did the demos, they decided they couldn't see anybody else singing them.
We'll talk about events like Band Aid.
It was an ego-free day.
Pay tribute to friends like Eric Clapton and Robert Plant, and tackle subjects including reunions, gorillas, and the importance of a good drum fill. Stories, songs, memories, each one represented by a different letter from A to Z.
I always used to watch the Oscars, and you wonder what it's like to be up there, and then suddenly you get an opportunity.
And the winner is...
Everything I've done has been really a bit like jazz.
This is the A to Z of Phil Collins podcast.
With me, Phil Collins.
Hello, this is episode 5 of the A to Z of Phil Collins podcast. Each episode sees Phil Collins and myself, Matt Everett, discussing a different song or recalling a different story from his life so far, with each letter serving as a jumping off point for moments and music from A all the way through to Z, hence the title. This week we cover reunions, swearing and meeting the Queen, but we start with the letter P and someone very close to Phil, a musical hero, an amazing singer, someone who he's helped out on a song or two, and a great friend. P is for Percy, also known as Mr. Robert Plant.
I remember being at home one day in Guildford and the phone rang and I picked it up and he said, "Hi Phil, it's Robert Plant here." And I'd never met him, and he said, I'd like you to play on my solo album. I said, well, sure, yeah, where, when, just tell me and I'll be there. And I said, what about the material? He said, I'll send you a tape, which he did, which had Jason Bonham playing on it. And Jason must have been about, 20, maybe less. This was the 80s, so. And the material sounded great, and Jason sounded great as well. So I remember going to Rockfield, which is where he was doing the sessions, and it was a new bunch of musicians, and so there's that kind of trying to get comfortable with other people that you don't know, and Robert, who I didn't know. But apparently, Robert says now I kind of came in with a confidence, not exactly to take over, but to be someone to ask advice to and guide us. That's what he said many times in the last couple of years. And I didn't know that at the time, I was just finding my feet. And so I played on that record, and then the second record was going to be made, and he asked me to do the same thing again. And then he asked me to go on the road with him when he did his first tour. And I was always encouraging, because I don't think I got the impression that he was needing it. But, I was just doing what I thought was the right thing to do. And we just kind of stayed in touch. And we're doing this thing now of leaving notes for each other. The other day, he'd just left New York and we had the same driver, so he gave him a note for me. So when he picked me up, the driver gave it to me. So there's a lot of that going on.
What did the note say?
Well, that would be, just where the fuck are you kind of thing. And also, because he's a director of Wolves, I follow their progress now, and if they do well, I send him an email and he'll reply. So it's, we kind of just stay in each other's pockets, which is nice.
Let's do another quick P. We're on the P subject. You mentioned that. What's in your pockets right now?
In my pockets?
Yeah.
There's a glass wipe, for these, and there's some dollars, and there's some euros.
Every eventuality covered, almost.
Yeah, no English money. You're listening to the A to Z of Phil Collins with me, Phil Collins.
Q. Q is for the Queen. Not Queen, the band, but the Queen, the actual Queen. It seems you've crossed paths with Madge a few times in your career, being bestowed with honours.
Twice.
Only twice?
Yeah, twice. Once at the Nelson Mandela concert at the Albert Hall, and then once at Prince Charles's 40th birthday, which I was asked to supply the entertainment for.
What's she like?
She's all right. No, I mean, I was the surprise guest at Charles's party, and I wasn't in the lineup, so I never did get to meet the Queen Mother, which is, was one of the people I'd like to have at least said hello to. But anyway, I made the huge mistake of going up to the Queen, which is you're not supposed to approach the Queen.
Oh, there's certain decorum.
Etiquette.
Yeah.
So I went up to her and said, "Excuse me, Your Highness," which was another thing, because you're supposed to say Your Majesty. So right now, you can sort of say it's 20 years in the Tower. And I just wanted to say hello.
Oh, because you're not supposed to you're supposed to shake a hand? Is that not on either?
Well, no, you don't do anything. You wait until she kind of comes up to you. Anyway, she said, "Oh yeah, you're my son's friend." Well, thank you for coming. I can't remember what else she said. And then I kind of, backed off probably. And then later I saw her jiving with Prince Philip, Rock Around the Clock. Those things are always quite interesting because there's everybody's a king of somewhere, So you get them to do, they'll do things that they wouldn't normally do in public. And so it was a very interesting evening. But no, I only met her a couple of times, and 3 times. There was another thing for British music, and I got put in a room with Terry Wogan and Dame Vera Lynn and, a few other people. As she walked out, we were in the ante room, and then she walked out. I've been with the Prince's Trust for God knows how many years, and so I guess it puts me in a position where they kind of think, let's put Phil in there. He'll deal with it all right. But, very nice lady.
Surely it's going to be like, you ring her up, knighthood? I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice, Matt.
No, as long as I don't live in England, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
R. R is for reunions and the highs and lows of getting a band back together. It's a difficult thing, isn't it? Because people will always want a reunion, and emotionally and psychologically, bringing groups of people that have been groups together at different times, it's fraught with danger. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. People change.
Well, we did split up. Well, I left.
Yeah.
In 96. I mean, and then the band broke up after Ray Wilson and that kind of era. But with us, it's not dangerous. I think, we all get on great. I mean, we're all good friends. You're listening to the A to Z of Phil Collins with me, Phil Collins.
S. S is for Susudio. $24 million views it's had on YouTube. 24 million, which is incredible. I mean, these are. Would you be so kind as to read out some of these? These are just some of the comments that I lifted from it.
Hey Curry, one of the best songs in history.
That's not bad.
Groove Mistress. mid-80s fashions with the absolute dog's bollocks.
Well, this is an interesting thing, isn't it? How these things come around again. Because the kind of look, a lot of the look to the 80s, and you and a lot of musicians of that era, it's come around again. You know, there's a certain fondness for pastel shades and baggy jackets. It's the cycle. It always comes back.
Yeah, not a particularly wonderful era for music, I don't think. But Sussudio, I've said everything about Sussudio I can possibly ever say.
I don't. That isn't hard to believe.
No.
Let's do a quick S. Swearing. What's your favourite profanity?
Well, fuck. You know, I think it's
good, solid, no nonsense, messing about. Fuck.
Yeah.
S is for session player, a musician who turns up and plays different sessions for different bands. That's kind of where Phil started. If there was the freedom to play drums again and the ability to play drums again for someone, who would it be?
Well, one of the things I am sorry that I never got a chance to do was to play with Joe Zawinul. Joe Zawinul, Weather Report.
Oh, right, okay.
I did meet him and we were in touch a few years before his death. And he wanted to get together to do something, but I would have been terrified to play with him because, you know, he's really good. And it's just I felt that I would have been out of my depth, you know. But that is someone that I wish I had had the opportunity. I wish I'd have been braver and better to be able to do that, you know.
S is for Separate Lives.
You have no right to ask me how I feel. You have no right to speak to me so kind. I can't go on just holding on to tight. Now that we're living separate lives.
That was Separate Lives, bringing the penultimate episode of the A to Z of Phil Collins podcast to a close. We hope you're enjoying listening. There's just one more episode to go, so if you haven't already, please hit subscribe so you can hear the series finale as soon as it goes live. And of course, get the previous episodes. If you're not listening to it alphabetically, I don't know what you're doing. Until then, I've been Matt Everett. Thanks very much for listening. This has been a Cup and Nozzle production.